this was actually one of the things in the weeks after the election where I felt like it wasn't that I was shocked out of my mind that Trump won. I mean, I've been in politics. I've traveled around the country. But how did this happen and why did this happen?
I've been shocked by how undemocratic the Democratic Party can be.
Tell me, what do you mean by, I don't disagree with you necessarily, but what do you mean by that?
By putting their foot on the scales to get, make sure that Hillary Clinton comes out of the thing, or make sure that, that they're listening to that anger.
So the Democrat Party is just a complete mess right now. I don't think I need to tell anyone that much is obvious. And Democrats who are trying to be even honest with themselves also know that fact to be true. But I do have to say, it is astonishing and frankly surreal to watch just how far this party has fallen, because you went from the party of Barack Obama back in 2008, which, say what you will about his presidency, I don't think it was very good, but it is very undeniable. They were a party with mass, widespread support, as well as a general swagger to them. They stood for something. There was an energy to them. And now you're in a state where it has genuinely hit rock bottom for the Democrat Party. And it's gotten so bad that even some figures, a rare small collection of people within the liberal media sphere, are beginning to call it out and, criticize even maybe people from their own establishment. We'll see how far it goes, though, because I generally do not believe that the Democrat Party is going to learn from its lessons anytime soon, maybe within the next decade. But nonetheless, guys, we'll tell you about it here today, and I think it is truly embodied by this recent Jon Stewart clip. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you do us a big favor. Hit that like button down below and subscribe if you are new. You subscribing is the best way to support our work. Channel's been doing great, so let's begin the push to 1 million subscribers. And with that in mind, I first of all want to say, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that there's a lot of infighting, obviously, going on within the Democrat Party, not just because of the election results, obviously, but what has happened since. Because needless to say, it's kind of hard to even get people, I guess, on your own side to be super enthusiastic when this literally is the general message of your political party at the current moment. Yeah, not sure people get super inspired by hearing things like this from House Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
Right, so that apparently is the best the Democrat Party has to offer right now, right? There's nothing we can do. We're just going to sit around and complain about it. We have no power and we have no real message or no real offer to the American people, which I have to admit, I kind of understand where they're coming from on that, because it's true they have no power, but still, really, that's the best messaging you have for the American people, is just to sit around and do nothing? Yeah, no wonder why you have people, again, within your own ranks starting to turn on you and not so feel so good about the general direction of your party's internal and external politics.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. God, the Democrats are so pathetic. They're so pathetic because if you don't agree with what the Trump administration is up to, if you don't identify as a Republican, if you didn't want to vote for Donald Trump, what other option do you have? Okay, the party that tried to run a decomposing corpse, and then when he got caught, they anointed the Democratic nominee. The party that keeps telling you that there's nothing they can do, whether they're in power or out of power.
Yeah, I mean, look,
come on.
So, guys, you've literally heard me sometimes sing this line. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we can do. That's the Democratic mantra. And that they say that when they get in power. They're like, oh, the filibuster, the parliamentarian, skittle-boo. You're like, that's not even a word. It doesn't matter. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do.
They're so pathetic.
And now that they're in the minority, here comes Hakeem Jeffries to sing the same song. There's nothing we could do. Then what? You know what? The American people believed you. You kept telling them that you can't do anything, so they voted you out of power because you can't do anything. Why don't you man up and grow a spine and a brain and actually figure out a strategy.
I mean, you can tell the panic and the sort of hopeless sense of desperation is absolutely real, and it is happening right now within the ranks of the Democrat base. And here's the point at which you really have to understand just how low down in the dumps you are as a Democrat right now. Is here's the thing, right? The Democrat establishment is one thing. Obviously, in most cases, people are never happy with whoever's currently in power, whoever the establishment actually is. But maybe if you're a Democrat, you can bet some type of outside hope on the grassroots, right? I think this is a big way that conservatives felt about MAGA versus the mainstream Republican Party for a very long time. It's like, look, our mainstream representation obviously sucks and doesn't do anything. It's useless. We're against it. However, we have this hope, right? We have this sense of belonging and maybe forward vision that we can cling on to and hope that our little revolution or uprising eventually takes over one day. That was MAGA. That was the Tea Party before that. On the Democrat side, that was maybe like the Bernie Sanders campaign back in 2016. But now even the Democrat grassroots has absolutely nothing. So they're a party with no hope because there's no one to recruit for the future. There's no rising star we can look at and say, okay, this person will save the Democrat Party. And as for the grassroots supporters, this apparently is the best they are able to muster at the current moment. Take a look.
Boycott Tesla! Boycott Tesla! Boycott Tesla! Boycott Tesla! Boycott Tesla! Boycott the people defend the Constitution! We, the people, defend the Constitution! Don't buy swastikas! Don't buy swastikas! Don't buy swastikas! Don't buy swastikas! Don't buy
What are the exploding swastikas?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Democrat Party in 2025, okay? You have the mainstream establishment leadership of the party saying, there's nothing we can do. We have no leverage, we have no strategy, we have no nothing. And then on the grassroots side, again, if you're hoping that someone from the outside, right, a Democrat version of Trump is going to ride the populist anti-establishment energy and take over the party, well, I'm not sure I would exactly count on the grassroots rescuing the situation, considering they can't even chant in unison, okay? The whole party is pathetic. Every wing of the party is pathetic. They have no rising star, no one to really count on. And I don't know, maybe perhaps, guys, that is a big reason why there is a significant movement of some on the left who are actually calling, believe it or not, for Jon Stewart to run for president in 2028, because apparently it's like, oh, this is the one guy apparently they think could win. I don't know. It's kind of strange to me. I don't know why exactly they think Jon Stewart is some type of magnetic, electric political candidate just because he hosts a show or something. You could make the Trump argument. I get it. Maybe, hey, give him a chance, but I don't know. But nonetheless, guys, this is exactly a sentiment that Jon Stewart recently uttered. Again, one of the few people on the left who is kind of sounding the alarm bells about the Democrat Party to the face of Biden Press Secretary Jen Psaki recently on this podcast. And we'll react to this clip in the main event of today's video because I think it is, frankly, pretty telling or hilarious that you have a small cast of people in the Democrat media sphere who are willing to be honest about the current state of the party. And then, of course, you have Jen Psaki, former Biden press secretary, now a big talking head on guess what network? Guess which one? MSNBC, right? A network that does nothing but propaganda for the DNC and the Democrat Party establishment. And I think the exchange you're about to see right here is pretty telling as Jon Stewart, a Democrat, tries to call out the Democrat Party on its own hypocrisy, and Jen Psaki is shocked to find out that actually we do have problems as a party. Actually, we are losing. Everything is not indeed fine. Take a listen.
I've been shocked by how undemocratic the Democratic Party can be.
Tell me more, what do you mean by, I don't disagree with you necessarily, but what do you mean by that?
By putting their foot on the scales to get, make sure that Hillary Clinton comes out of the thing, or make sure that, that they're listening to that anger about the way that even the ACA, quite frankly, struck me as a very conservative.
You mean because it didn't have a public option in it?
Correct. That it didn't address the very thing that was causing the foundational upset. If I were to break this down narratively, what I think the Democrats have forgotten is government may not be perfect, but it's the only thing large enough to offset multinational corporate exploitation and corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't act like that's urgent and that affects people's lives, then
Well, I mean, that's first of all the old school Democrat message. But when you're literally the party of the billionaires, which they are now, I heard a statistic the other day. I think back in the day, 70% of the wealth in America, the very wealthy, were owned by Republicans. Now 70% of America are Democrats, right? The wealth in America is owned by Democrats. So you have seen it's RFK Jr. It was RFK Jr. who I heard point that out. Considering that upheaval you've seen in our politics. And yeah, considering, as he points out here, literally the Democrat Party is simply the party of astroturfed corporate-backed icons like Hillary Clinton, like Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris. Not exactly sure you're in the best state, but let's continue hearing what he has to say.
The big policies that we make are billions more dollars to insurance companies that we think are fucking people over left and right for their healthcare. So isn't that part of why people lost faith?
Yeah. So yes, I think we're saying, well, I'm trying to say something similar, which is this.
Boom.
Which is Democrats just lost everything. They control nothing. They control, they don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. They don't control the White House, and they don't control the Supreme Court. So now is the time to break some shit, right? And break some China.
They do control the email lists that continue to ask for money.
Well, that's true.
They still have that.
So, you're once again basically getting the same exact admission from Jen Psaki that the Democrat establishment has been trying to tell their voters. I would argue largely as an excuse, which is basically to say, well, we don't have any power. We can't do anything. Which is kind of, again, hilarious to hear. I'm not sure that's exactly a big reason to sort of, encourage people going forward to want to vote for you again. I'm not exactly sure. But of course, you keep hearing this talk, and Jen Psaki is going to say it again, where, Democrats since the election have been trying to do this whole act of basically like, look, we're going to figure it out. We're going to be different next time. We're really going to this time introspect and figure out what exactly is going wrong. But I would not believe it for a second. You can even see it in Jen Psaki's kind of reservation immediately to what Jon Stewart is trying to say. No, the Democrat establishment is never willingly going to let go of power by itself because, why would they want to? Why would they want to? They're going to keep trying the same exact thing and keep losing time and time again, over and over again, unless the Democrat base really does something systemic to overthrow them in the way that you could argue Trump did with MAGA back in 2016. But again, when I take a look at the current state of the Democrat Party as well as the Democrat base, I'm not exactly sure they are in a position to do that. And we still have no indication that people like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer are all that keen on continuing to lose power. So I'm just saying.
My whole passion about being in politics is for the children. So what is it that we're doing for the children? I think that it would have been important for the children to not have Donald Trump be president of the United States. And that is, I would take every step necessary to make sure that didn't happen, but it did. And now we have to deal with it. And in about 6 or 7 months, you're going to see such a change. By the time we start our campaigns in this fall, for next fall, you're going to see a very different picture about the Democrats vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Retire. She's sitting there and talking about, like, don't worry, in 6 months, we might start fighting back.
Yeah, needless to say, the Democrat leadership has no serious plans to change. Of course, they're going to pay lip service to it. And when Nancy Pelosi says that the Democrats are going to reinvent their messaging in 6 months, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're going to run different campaign ads, but it doesn't change what the party, I should say, fundamentally stands for. And it doesn't mean the American people are necessarily going to believe it just because you pivot. Because I would point out, back in the 2024 campaign, as much as people talk about Kamala being woke, yeah, she was woke back in 2020. She was woke as the vice president. She was not particularly radical in her campaign in 2024. She actually tried to rebrand herself as a sensible left, center left moderate. You know why nobody believed it? Because you can't just like tell people things with no track record to back it up and expect them to believe you. And I still, guys, continue to see, even in this Jon Stewart clip today, more indication that the people who actually have power or a mouthpiece or influence are not really all that receptive, or they have no actual plans to change because they're still living in denial, right? They're still living in denial. I mean, take a look right here as Jen Psaki, who obviously is a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. She works for MSNBC, which is a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party, refuses to admit that remotely she has any, vested interest or loyalty in ensuring that the current ways of MSNBC that continue to lose them elections keep on going. Take a listen.
You're at MSNBC. Do they come to you every day and go, here's what we think is important to preserve and fight for whatever?
No, everybody gets a zillion press releases and pitch calls, but no.
No. I'm talking about the head of it.
Oh, no. You determine, we determine, each of us for our shows, here's what I'm going to cover today, and here's what I'm going to talk about, and here's what I think is important, which there's an independence-ish of that. And there also is, you're not waiting to be told what to say about anything. You're going to say what you think. So people can trust that, and that is a good thing.
See,
people trust that, and that's a good thing? Really? Really? Nobody believes that. And here's the thing. Even if what she's saying here is true, that on MSNBC, everyone is independent. Well, nobody trusts it still, because you guys they might not tell them necessarily, like the host, what to say. However, when, you exist in the bubble that exists at MSNBC, right? When you're in such a hardcore mainstream establishment Democrat echo chamber, and that's just all it is all day, because I'll tell you this right now, you ever watch MSNBC, it sounds like North Korean style propaganda for the Democrat Party. Like that's all that it ever is. You're still bound to exist in a bubble, which is largely why the network all says the same exact thing. And clearly here, if someone like Jen Psaki can't even admit to their problem with the Democrat media space, I'm not exactly sure large scale there's any attitude or there's any willingness to want to change as a party, because you see this general attitude everywhere from Hakeem Jeffries, from Nancy Pelosi, from MSNBC even. They're all basically collectively saying, look, we understand that maybe we need to change some things, but at the end of the day, it's not our fault. Okay, we still know what we're doing. Come on, you just misunderstand. Our messaging is just wrong. Just understand us better, and then you would vote for us next time. I'm not exactly sure that's how it works, just saying.
I disagree with that. I think it's not that you're able to be independent. It's that you're then a prisoner purely to the minute by minutes. Purely.
You mean in terms of ratings?
The ratings, incentives, and all those other things. If you don't have the ideological component, right, then you don't have a governing authority of editorial authority, right? The greatest trick Roger Ailes ever played was he delegitimized editorial authority while exercising absolute steel trapdoor editorial authority.
The greatest thing he did, because it led them to be an arm piece, a mouthpiece of the right wing.
It led them to be.
And MSNBC is not a mouthpiece of the left wing, really. And you think the American people believe that? See, this is precisely why, a big reason why you guys lost the 2024 election, because you are so out of touch. They still think they're in this bubble, right? Where it's like, everything our side says is just the objective truth, but their side, they're the ones who are biased. It's like, no, you guys are obviously biased too, okay? That's why nobody believes you. That's why people often like, let's say, independent media, YouTubers like right here, right, more than MSNBC, or they find them to be more authentic. You know why? Because I don't run around telling you that I'm some type of news network, okay? We cover the news, we react to the news, but this is commentary. Okay, you don't have people like this, and I am a right winger. Yes, you don't have people like this claiming that, oh, our network, MSDNC of all places, is definitely not a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. Yeah, you wonder why the mainstream media and by proxy the Democrat Party have lost so much credibility. It's because of nonsense, BS, gaslighting lies like that. Nobody, not a single soul on earth, genuinely believes what Jen Psaki just said.
Exactly what he wanted it to be, which is an effective expression of his worldview.
And MSNBC, I am unburdened by not having, I can share whatever I think. I have obviously worked in Democratic politics for 20 years. I don't hide anything about that. It is a progressive.
Which is literally like almost everyone who works at MSNBC. Okay, you guys all worked in Democrat politics for 20 years. So you wonder why it's such an echo chamber over there? It's because that's who gets hired at MSNBC.
Leaning network. But nobody is, to the frustration at times of many elected Democrats, it is not a mouthpiece of the Democratic Party.
Again, do you think these people are learning? You think they're adapting? You think they're changing, guys? I don't think so. I don't think so. This seems to me like the same exact Democrat Party as before they got trounced in this election, which may, by the way, precisely be the reason why, according to a Quinnipiac University poll conducted in January of 2025, the Democrat Party now holds a net approval rating of -26, the lowest ever recorded in the party's history. The survey found that only 31% of Americans view the Democrat Party favorably, while 57% hold an unfavorable opinion. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense and probably explains why they're currently in this situation.
He's describing what is currently the dumbest strategy in politics, which is Democrats taking the 20% side of every 80-20 issue in America. USAID, people want this pared down. They want it streamlined. They want to know where the money is going. Democrats have a meltdown. Today, Donald Trump signs executive order on keeping boys out of girls' sports. Democrats take the 20 side of that issue as well. All these issues, this is like Trump's superpower, finding a bunch of 80-20 issues, getting on the 80, and everybody who's sort of reflexively against him gets on the 20. And now the Democratic Party has like a 31% approval rating. This is why.
Yeah, well, I don't know. At the end of the day, Jon Stewart versus Jen Psaki, TYT screaming about Hakeem Jeffries or something, that's their problem. Okay, they can have their little civil war. It's hilarious. We're all here for it. But we will sit here and just continue to laugh at it because this party is a complete mess right now. They have no clear leader, and they're not visibly trending upwards, right? You're not seeing some type of like coalescing behind something new. No, it just seems like even after losing this election, the same people are going to hold on to the same exact power time and time again. And when the best outsider candidate you can put up is Jon Stewart now of all people, I mean, I don't know if this party's doing so well, guys. But with that said, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.